The concrete jungle where dreams are made of, or where dreams are ruined, because only 4 teams remain. And as the countdown continues, we are getting you ready for the WNBA Semifinal series between the Connecticut Sun and the New York Liberty. That one in the Barclays Center at 1 p.m. on ESPN. Then we also have another game at 5 p.m. between the Aces and the Wings. Welcome to WNBA Hoop Streams, presented by Google. Christine Williamson alongside Terrika Foster-Brasby. It has been, I mean, isn't it crazy? The season's almost over.
I know.
I feel like we just started this show and the season's almost over. But it's been exciting, right, to watch the playoffs so far. Yeah.
It really has.
Okay, so we are going to get you started get you ready for those 2 games. But first, we're going to ask T some questions because we're down to the final 4 teams. And I don't know if people expected it to go this way. I feel like there's not that much surprise. Maybe Dallas is a little surprising, but who has surprised you the most in the playoffs?
I'm definitely not surprised by any of these teams right now. Like, I expected each and every one of these teams to be here given the way the season had gone. To your point, that the only surprise about Dallas being here is I think we all thought that Washington may end up being like a 4 or 5 seed. And then what happened, we all know what happened with injuries and the hard fought matchup they had against New York. But in terms of like seeding, I expected all chalk.
Okay, so you mentioned the fact that people may have expected Washington to be here. Is there any team that disappointed you?
I don't think there is a team per se that disappointed me. I guess if I'm needing to answer the question, the only disappointment that I had was that Connecticut allowed a force of a game 3. I felt like that was a series that they should have swept like everyone else. But other than that, like, I don't really feel a sense of disappointment. I feel like people are just playing so well.
Yeah, it's been a really good playoffs so far. Okay, so let's take a look at how each of these 4 teams got to where they are now. And we start with the reigning champs, the Las Vegas Aces. So Chelsea Gray and Jackie Young would come alive in game 1, combining for 20 of the Aces points in an opening 14 minutes of play. Gray would finish with 20 points and 7 assists. Young would finish with 18 as the Aces took game 1 against the Sky 87-59. Now the Aces rolled in game 2. A'ja Wilson led the way with 38 points, a career high for the former league MVP. T, who do you feel like in that series was the key player?
Definitely A'ja Wilson, like, without a doubt. She's averaging 26 points per game, 12 rebounds, 4 blocks in this series. She had a 36-16 performance in game 2, y'all. Like, she just continues to make history, contributing record-breaking performances. I mean, she has and will continue to be the key factor in this series for this team, and everyone else is just playing their part around her.
Okay, so knowing A'ja, we know she's a big defensive player, but what do you think that Las Vegas did best on the court against the Sky?
It's definitely defense. All the way around, it's been defense. 11 steals in this series, 5.5 blocks per game in this series. I mean, they were holding the Sky down to about 64% shooting. Everywhere that we have, talked about how they match up well with teams, it's always been about their defense, and they continue to do that. A'ja Wilson alone held the Sky to 7 points on 3 for 11 field goals, and as a primary defender in game 2. And they really do a great job of utilizing their defense to create offensive opportunities. In that matchup against Chicago, they forced 18 turnovers and turned them into 15 points.
Yeah.
So if it's one thing Las Vegas is going to do, is they're going to defend.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, well, I have a question for you, though, Christine, though. Like, when you think about all of the incredible moments from Las Vegas, like, what is a moment in this series that stood out to you?
Okay, so I feel like we're beating, what is it called? I don't like beating the dead horse, so I want to say like beating a drum or something like that. But A'ja Wilson in game 2 absolutely went off. She had 38 points, 16 rebounds to sweep the Sky. I mean, it cannot be understated what A'ja has been doing for this team. You mentioned her on defense, obviously been doing it all on offense as well. So I feel like that was probably one of the biggest moments that stood out to me. She was also obviously, as we mentioned, Defensive Player of the Year. So 2nd straight season, we know she gets buckets, and we know she does a lot on the other side of the ball as well. So next up, the team that they will be playing, the Dallas Wings. They defeated the Dream in game 1. Ryan Howard put up 36 points, making her the youngest WNBA player ever to score 30 points in her playoff debut, but Satou Sabally, Arike Ogunbowale, and Tierra McCowan would be too much as the Wings knocked off the dream in Game 1. Now, Game 2 wouldn't even be close. The Wings went on to have 7 players in double digits, led by Ogunbowale's 20 points. The Wings won the playoff series for the first time since relocating in 2016, which doesn't seem like it was that long ago, but 2016 actually is a while ago when you really think about it. The pandemic kind of stretched those years out. Okay, so when you look at this Dallas team, who do you think has been the key player so far?
It's Satou Sabally. I mean, she has done everything for this Dallas team. 32 points in that game to match Howard's energy. It's why she's the 2023 most improved player. She's the X factor for this Dallas team.
Okay, so knowing that, what do you think that Dallas has done best so far in the playoffs?
It's scoring. Like, it is 100% scoring. I don't know where they found it, but they have found balance, and I am so excited for them. They're averaging a league-leading 97.5 points per game this postseason, and Arike is really becoming that facilitator for this team that we have been craving for her to be. They're finding balance in how they score the basketball, and really it's what makes this team so dangerous.
Have you seen that video on social media about who wants to sit next to who on the plane?
Oh, yeah, I did. That video was hilarious.
People kicking chairs and saying they don't want to sit next to people.
It is so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Christine, I mean, listen, best moment for you in this Dallas series?
Okay, so Dallas had 7 different players in double digits, which was the first in WNBA history. So you were talking about the fact that you weren't at all surprised by this team being here. It's actually kind of crazy to think about how deep this team is. Arike Ogunbowale, Satou Sabally, and Natasha Howard were amongst that group. So we talk about those names all the time. So we know that they have depth and they have the players to be able to do that. But the fact that they were able to execute this late in the season, we are in the playoffs, right? And they're still able to have that depth, people coming off the bench as well. So it's just been really fun to see and watch them.
Love it.
Absolutely get buckets. Okay, so now let's go to the team in New York, the New York Liberty. So Game 1 was the Sabrina Ionescu show against the Mystics. She would score 29 points on 7 made threes, an absolute bucket. The Liberty won that one over the Mystics, 90-75. Game 2 will be a lot closer between these two teams. There was an overtime battle, but Stewie was the star of the show. 27 points, enough to lead the Liberty to their first playoff series win since 2015, which was even longer than 2016, which is huge for the Liberty, obviously. So who do you think has been the key player so far in this one?
So I think for this New York team, I have to give 2 people the key player because one, yes, Game 1 was absolutely Sabrina Ionescu. I mean, she shot the lights out of the gym, which I say all the time. 7 threes. I mean, she was averaging 20 points per game and 7.5 rebounds against Washington. But again, when you hit 7 threes for 21 points, that helps that. Natasha Cloud, however, shut that down in the second game. She was like, nah, you're not going off of that. However, Jonquel Jones was like, hold my beer. I got this. 19 points, 14 rebounds. She was there to pick up the slack at the end of the game when Sabrina missed those 2 free throws. Just her ability to dominate inside, to take over the game, to own the paint. Like, you cannot sleep on JJ. She's a former MVP for a reason, and she's definitely going to continue to be a key player in this series.
Yeah, it's been very fun to watch the Liberty figure things out because at the beginning of the season, it was very rough.
I know it.
But what do you think that New York has done best so far in the playoffs?
They've been able to spread the ball around and they've been able to spread the floor, and that has really worked well for them because they're dangerous. Like, they are a team that knows how to shoot the ball. They can shoot on the perimeter. They've got big keys inside. And so it's the reason why they have 4 different players that have averaged at least 18 points in this first round. When, people use the cliche, you've got to pick your poison. You do, right? And that's how they've been able to really dominate teams because you put all your pressure on Stewie, you still got 3 other players that can come off for you. And then, as you mentioned earlier about Dallas, when it comes to bench scoring, so does New York. Maureen Johannes can come off the bench for you and give you a good 15, 16 points. So they spread and share the ball really well.
Yeah, for sure. We mentioned the fact that this team obviously had a lot of chemistry issues at the start of the season. One of the best moments of the series for me was the Liberty having to work. I mean, at the beginning of the season, I feel like we could not have said that the Liberty would be able to get things done and close out games that they needed to, but they had an 11-point halftime. They had a blow 11-point halftime lead, and they were able to fight off the Mystics in overtime to close out the series. Woo. Which, like I said, I feel like this isn't the same team that we saw at the beginning of the season. They couldn't figure things out, and the way that they're able to work together, they couldn't close games out and win games that they were supposed to win. So the fact that the Liberty are figuring it out, started to figure it out at the end of the regular season, and are now being able to basically put things together for the playoffs has been huge for them. So it's been really nice to see.
They definitely made me eat crow.
Oh, that's the other thing too. Don't forget about T saying that the Liberty weren't going to do anything multiple times this season.
I was like, no, they can't figure it out in time. And they were like, well, T, you know what? You talk too much.
It's all those people in her mentions. They already knew. Okay, so let's go down the street to the Connecticut Sun. They took game one. DeWanna Bonner and Alyssa Thomas would come out with a big game one. Bonner would score 17 points and add a season-high 15 rebounds. Thomas had 15 points and 10 dimes as the Sun won game one huge. It was 90-60. Then the Lynx bounced back in game two behind scoring barrage from Kayla McBride and Nafisa Collier. McBride would finish with 28 points and Collier would add 26 to the series. Then, of course, they took game three to win the entire series. Who do you think was the key player in this one?
Alyssa Thomas. No surprise there, right? It has to be AT. Listen, AT was averaging 23 points per game, 9.3 assists in the first round. There just really isn't an aspect of this Connecticut team that AT doesn't touch in some way or another. She's impacting the game defensively. She's finding the open man for assists. I mean, she's taking it to the rack. This team flows through Alyssa Thomas.
That was your girl at the beginning of the season. So you've been hyping her up all season. What do you think that Connecticut has done best so far in the playoffs?
I think the best thing for this team this season, but specifically in the playoffs, has been the dynamic duo of AT and DeWanna Bonner. Like I don't even know if there's anything that you can say, because when you talk about letting your play speak on the court for you, they're doing it. They combined an average of 87% of the Connecticut's points in this series. So 79 of the 90 points they scored in game three came between DeWanna Bonner and AT. The last pair of teammates to shut down a game like that, to have that kind of chemistry, was Cheryl Swoops and Cynthia Cooper. GOAT and GOAT. You hear me?
That's
Go
wild.
and go. That is wild.
That is definitely a minute ago. Okay, so the best moment for me when it comes to that series is when Ty Harris came off the bench in game three. And scored 18 points. Like, sister was ready. You mentioned the fact that you're kind of disappointed that the Connecticut Sun took it to a game three, weren't able to close it out in 2 games, but they got their bench players into it. The fact that, I mean, we talked about depth, right? Ty Harris, an absolute bucket, was able to help her team. She scored 9 3-pointers.
What? Ty is the definition
she's a bucket.
of if you stay ready,
you ain't got to get ready. You ain't got to get ready. Okay, so that's how those teams got here. Now let's take it over to ESPN fantasy analyst Liz Loza to tell us where we think that they're going.
The Sun have lost all 4 of their games against the Liberty this season, so the best bet here is New York on the money line. But that's not particularly interesting. So how about the over on 163 points? Listen, I am here for all of the Jonquel Jones revenge narratives. Jones was absolutely brilliant in the last round of the playoffs, and I think she's going to take it to her old team. The Sun, a squad that has the 4th-ranked offense, is going to have to do a lot to keep up with their former teammate, driving this total up and, yes, over. Switching gears to the Aces and the Wings, Las Vegas has had an absolutely historic season. They've managed a 34-6 record, so it makes sense that they're heavy favorites. But I don't think they're going to best Dallas by double digits. Only 2 teams have held Aces star center A'ja Wilson to under 40% on contested shots. Dallas was one of them. If the Wings can contain a player that managed the 3rd most points on the season, then they have a shot at losing by less than 10. To that point, this figures to be a defensive battle, which is why I'm taking the under on 174.5 points. In fact, the Aces have only cleared this total in 17 of 38 games. Meanwhile, the Wings have done it in 20 of 37 contests. The odds are with the under because these backcourts are going to be busy.
Now it's time to take a look at what fans are searching for, presented by Google. So searches for WNBA Most Improved Player 2023 spiked 480% in the U.S. over the past week. And that 2023 Most Improved Player was the one and only Satou Sabally. So, T, you actually called this a long time ago, didn't you?
Oh my God, I can't believe the beginning of the season was that long ago.
Yeah, it was a minute
Yes, it was a minute ago, but I just knew it. Like, I felt that Satou was going to have a breakout year this year, and I like being right because I'm a Leo, so bam.
What about what she did last season and what you saw during the preseason made you know that she was poised for a really good season this year?
Well, she only played 11 games last season, right? And then, as I talked about earlier, there's always that struggle between whether or not a player is improving because they're actually playing the game or because they're coming back from injury.
Right.
But like that Satou and this Satou, not the same Satou. She's literally having a breakout season. She's having career highs in almost every statistical categories, 14 double-doubles on this season. I've often said that I feel like she's the difference between a win or a loss in a lot of those matchups for Dallas. So she's just having a sensational year, and like we're so lucky to witness.
Yeah, you knew she was poised to have a good W season. She's also poised to possibly take her team to the finals, starting with the Aces.
I'm just going to take this as my little defensive prize, actually.
Sabally's been having a career year out of the gates for the Wings.
Watch me do my thing, watch me spread my wings, watch me do my thing like it ain't nothing.
So we here on WNBA Hoop Streams, huge Satou Sabally fans, we know another one, and it is the Mavs' Grant Williams, who is joining us now. Grant, good to see you. How are you? How's Dallas?
Doing great. How about yourself?
Doing amazing. Okay, so we're going to start here because I know that you took the internet by storm when you and some of your Mavs players or teammates were at Game 2, Wings, taking on the Dream. Now, we saw a little conversation happening courtside. What exactly was that conversation? What were you talking to Satou about?
Yeah, we were talking about the game. I've known Satou since I was like a college junior, maybe college sophomore. So we were talking about the game and then talking about how, whatever else the rest of the week looked like. And then next, they're in Vegas now. So excited to see them play them because not only is it going to be a great matchup, but I think that, it's great watching the games because I always go live and you see like the difference between the teams. So like the Aces, like Asia can struggle in size, but then like if those people are fouling, it's not going to be a good game. So it'll be interesting. This is a great matchup for these two.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Satou was just named the most improved player. We always get into these conversations on what most improved actually means or whatever. We ain't going here today, Grant. But just what has impressed you about Satou and just what she's been doing this year?
Yeah, she's just super versatile. Her game is stretched not only just from expanding her range, being able to shoot threes, but also being a lot more energetic. I feel like she's playing with a lot more energy. She's healthy now, so her ankle and knee, so she's able to not only make tough shots, and she creates it well for her teammates as well. So I think she's really led the Wings a little bit more too, because Enrique's always been great when it comes to scoring and making an impact, but Satou's done a phenomenal job both guarding the best player while also creating for herself both on the offensive end and creating for others on the offensive end as well.
Okay, so as we obviously know, you're in Dallas now, and the Wings haven't done what they've done, that they're doing so far, gone to the semifinals since 2016. So it's huge for the city. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about the Cowboys and stuff like that, but what does the Dallas Wings being able to do this mean for this city?
It means the world. It shows not only the growth of the W and the growth of the basketball within the W and the team. The Wings had success when Liz was here, and now they're back to that. They have a young team that's going to be very, very competitive for years to come, and as long as they all stay together, I feel like it's going to be a great group. AK has done a phenomenal job of improving. Enrique is still leading and being one of the best guards in the league, if not the best, and the team's very balanced. They have both sides. They can play. They remind me a lot of the Derrick Rose, Taj Gibson Bulls when they started three bigs, when they had Taj Gibson, Carlos Boozer, and Joakim Noah. They had Tierra, AK, and Satou, or whoever else, and they maybe put Tosh is phenomenal too. So Tosh is like the Julius Randle of the WNBA. So it's super great being able to watch the group, and I feel like they're gonna surprise a lot of people because they can really take the Aces to a difficult series, and then as they continue to grow and get better individually, I feel like they'll be able to have a chance to win a championship here soon.
I love that comparison.
I do too. I love that comparison. And, I don't know if you remember, but me and you, we spoke before when you were in Boston. We used to go to Connecticut games, and we talked about how much you admire the Aces. And, I love the way that you were supporting the Sun when you were there. And now you're here in Dallas and supporting the Wings. Just kind of share with us why it's so important for you and for others to just continue to show that love and show that to support to women's basketball and to the league overall.
Yeah, overall, honestly, you see the direction of the way the league is going. It's continuing to grow, giving powerful young women the opportunity to not only make a life for themselves, but also have the same notoriety that their male counterparts have. And then, in general, like when you think of the W, it's going to continue to expand. The talent's going to continue to go up, not only both internationally, but also here in the States. And it's going to be super exciting to see the next league really continue to grow and be a league that we look to in comparison to the league and NBA. So I try to support just because not only is it deserving, but it's great basketball. Honestly, when you go and watch, I always tell people that when you watch the difference between male versus female basketball, like women's basketball, you see the difference in skill. So like there may be more technical in the women's game where you see a lot more passing. You watch Sloop play, she's one of the best passers you've seen. She reminds you a little bit of Luka in a sense of how she sees the floor. And versus if you go back and you watch teams that are like the Wings who may play a more interior dominant basketball, they're running a lot more old school sets, which actually I love watching because it's way more physical. You see T when she elbows somebody in the head going for a layup. It's really pretty cool.
I love that because so many people want to say they want to compare the two leagues, right? They want to compare the two games. It is really a totally different game. And so it's been very fun to watch a lot of people support. Okay, so finally, as you know, the Aces, the defending champs. How do you think the Wings fare against the Aces in this playoff series?
I actually think they match up really, really well. It's going to be a difficult series because the Aces are so, they're very skilled. They have but the Aces also struggle a little bit when Asian those guys go out the game because Jackie's relied on scoring a lot. Chelsea, if he's not making shots that night, can really help hurt the defense or hurt the other team. So Chelsea's going to have a big series, in my opinion. I think that the Wings have the ability to take them to a Game 4, Game 5, just because not only can Enrique get hot one night, but also Satou is going to be really, really well. I'm interested in seeing the matchups for both teams because I think that maybe T starts on Asia, Tasha starts on Kia, and then Satou can guard Jackie. Rike and Kelsey can go back and forth, and then Chelsea and Crystal. So the Crystal matchup is going to be the one I'm very interested in because she has to make Chelsea work the entire night in order for them to win.
T, I see you.
I've been over here nodding my head the
you want to add anything
I'm
there?
like, yes.
All right, Grant, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much also for your support of the W. It's been great to watch, and good luck with the Mavs this season.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on.
This one and another one.
Many believe that they can give them a run for their money.
We are seeing the best of the best.
Enrique Agumbawale. This is what she does.
We're going into the series 0-0, and it's the best team that wins these next, 3 games. So that's all we're focused on.
Always vibrant here in Vegas. Such a singular force, my goodness. For the 5th straight season, the Las Vegas Aces are headed to the semifinals.
We know that this league is good, and we're not going to be satisfied over one win.
Okay, friends, so new to the WNBA playoff series format this season is a best-of-5 series. That's what I was going to say. And we're going to play a little game. It's called Best of 5. We have 3 categories: Big Block, Clutch Buckets, and Unsung Hero. We are going to present 5 players, and each of us are going to choose who we believe is the best of those 5. We start with Big Block. We got some big blockers here: Asia Wilson, DeWanna Bonner, Alyssa Thomas, Stewie, and Natasha Howard. But who is the best of those 5? Let's start with T.
I like it. Some good options there.
Right, of course.
But I'm going to go with my girl, Asia Wilson, okay? Defensive Player of the Year. A'ja Wilson plays no games when you're coming downtown to mess with her, okay? She has averaging a career best right now of 2.2 blocks per game. And like I said, you're just not going to get much love when you're coming down there trying to score the ball on A'ja. A'ja is going to go big because she's not trying to go home.
Yeah, yeah. Love A'ja Wilson. No shade to her at all. But I raise you, your Defensive Player of the Year, with a Player of the Year. That is one Breanna Stewart. Okay, obviously she's 6'4". She has length. She's not only averaging 1.6 blocks per game, she's also averaging 1.5 steals. So she stops her opponent from making shots and she gets the ball back to her own team, which is why I have her as my big blocker. I mean, this isn't a bad couple.
Can't be mad at that.
Like, these two players were also, I mean, A'ja almost could have been Player of the Year as well. Okay, so the next one is Clutch Bucket. We have Chelsea Gray, Sabrina Ionescu, DB, Arike Gumawale, and Stewie on this one as well. Who do you have as your Clutch Bucket
Now, this
hitter?
was a tough one because Breanna Stewart and DB both have 2 buckets apiece this year in the final 2 minutes, and the other 3 players, unfortunately, have not. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
But I'm going to roll with my girl, DeWanna Bonner, okay? 35, where, sis? I don't, like, how?
No, you
the
can't
way
say it.
that she is playing this year, she's having one of the best seasons of her career. I think what's interesting is that we call her Big Shot Bonner in the Connecticut market. She's steadily moving up the charts. And because sometimes I work in the Connecticut market, I cover the team. I feel like if I don't pick her, it's going to be problems, and I don't want them kind of problems. So I'm going to go ahead and roll with DB.
Terrika's lying. She loves when people go in her mentions and blow up her Twitter mentions. I also don't mind it. I actually respond to people. But regardless, I'm also choosing DB for all of the reasons that T just said, not only because of the fact that you are in the Connecticut market, but
Exactly.
DB is an absolute bucket. So that's who I want to have the ball in her hands.
Yeah.
Okay, we have the next category, Unsung Hero.
Ooh.
And this one is really good because, I mean, obviously we talk about these players a lot, but they don't get as much shine
True.
as they probably should.
True.
So who do you have as your Unsung Hero?
I am going to go down south with it, and I'm going to get my girl Big T.
Ooh, yeah.
Tiara McCowan, man, she's really a whole bucket, and people really just don't put enough respect on her name. I'm so excited to see what she's going to do because I know she's surrounded by a lot of other incredible stars on this Dallas team, but she is unstoppable off the glass. She has 30 rebounds in this playoff, which is tied for second most by a player through their first 2 playoff games in a season in WNBA history, right? She had her 3rd career double-double the other night against Atlanta. So again, her name isn't always spoken, but it needs to be spoken a bit more. I feel like it will be in this Las Vegas series.
Yeah, we haven't talked about her enough. You said you're going down south. You mentioned the Las Vegas series. I'm going to go out west with Kelsey Plum. Now, here's the thing. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Kelsey Plum was just on All the Smoke podcast.
She was.
And she absolutely killed it. I've been watching all of the clips. I want to watch the whole thing. I haven't watched the whole thing yet, but also during the regular season, she averaged 18.7 points per game, set career highs in field goal percentage and points per game in the paint. She averaged 13 points per game and 36% from the field in the first 2 games of the playoffs. So we already know she's going to be a bucket as she tries to take her team to another championship. It'll be very fun to watch. So those are our best of 5. I mean, I feel like that's pretty good.
I'm really digging this. Like, to be honest, I would be cool with all of this right here because every single one of these players are here for a reason. They're like, can you tell how excited I am about this semifinal?
It's pretty solid.
Yeah.
All right, so the Connecticut Sun are taking on the Liberty at the top of the hour. Will the Sun be able to take on the Liberty's top player?
Utter domination from the New York Liberty.
The energy, the atmosphere.
I got the world in the palm of my hand. I've been the story, I cannot be sorry. I gave him the glory, it's all in the plans.
Breanna Stewart with the finger roll.
Nobody can stay with her one-on-one.
Feels like I made the right decision.
When in doubt, rely on Stu York.
She is feeling it right now.
The most points in Liberty history.
Breanna, you look like you're going to win MVP this year.
All right, You're watching WNBA Hoop Streams presented by Google. We got number 3 Sun taking on number 2 Liberty at the top of the hour to kick off the WNBA playoff semis on ESPN. And then number 4 Wings and number 1 Aces coming up later on today. That one at 5 p.m. on ESPN2. So the Sun have beaten every team during the regular season besides the New York Liberty. That is an asterisk there. So what do they need to do to get the edge in this best-of-5 series?
They just got to stick to their defensive sets, stick to their defensive game plans, and let's not get it twisted, right? I get it that they were 0-4 against New York, but it wasn't like every single game was a blowout, right? Like they had some moments where they played very well. In fact, they lost a 20-point lead. So close the game, stick to your defense.
Yeah, that was I actually went to a Liberty Sun game this regular season, and we're going to the game on Tuesday. Me and T are going to be at that game on Tuesday to watch game 2. Okay, so who do the Sun need to step up as a third, possibly fourth scorer to be able to knock the Liberty out?
They need to get some play from their guards, whether that's Tiffany Hayes or Natisha Heidemann. They need more guard play. Tiffany Hayes has the ability to be an X factor. She can really score on all 3 levels. So whatever they need her to do, whether that's on the paint, mid-range, shoot from 3, they need her to do that. Natisha Heidemann, again, we talked about Ty Harris and how great she's been. And even Dejanay Carrington hasn't been completely healthy yet, still kind of battling that foot a bit. But if you can get some magic out of your guards, you're on to something.
Who do you got in game 1?
I'm taking Connecticut in game 1.
You should have said, I am taking the Connecticut Sun. Hashtag bars. Okay, so she's never choosing the Liberty, just FYI, apparently.
I actually think the Liberty will win game 2.
Okay.
That's I think they'll get game 2. I think this goes 4 games.
Okay, we'll see what happens.
So there's
let's close it out. We will see you guys on October 8th for the finals, which is wild. Thank you guys for watching WNBA Hoop Streams presented by Google. Enjoy the WNBA games, and we will see you very soon.